What if your garden didn't collapse in the heat, but actually became more productive because of it? While you were replanting the same beds every spring, there's a category of vegetables that has been sitting quietly in the background. Plants that don't care how brutal your summer gets. Plants that don't bolt, don't wilt, don't die when the mercury climbs. Plants that come back on their own again, and again, and again, season after season, without you lifting a finger. These are heat-proof perennial vegetables. Built for resilience, built for consistency, and built for gardeners who are done starting over every season. And today I've put together 15 of the most productive, most nutritious, most heat-defiant perennial vegetables you can grow. And I'm going to give you the nutritional breakdown on every single one. By the time this video ends, you'll have a complete planting list that could genuinely change your relationship with food, with your garden, and with your grocery bill permanently. Let's get into it. Number 1, longevity spinach, Genura procumbens. Yes, that name is intentional. And yes, the implications are exactly what they sound like. Longevity spinach is a low-growing, sprawling perennial used in traditional medicine across Southeast Asia for centuries. Modern research is beginning to validate what traditional healers have always known. This plant contains genuine bioactive compounds with real, measurable effects on the body. But in pure gardening terms, longevity spinach is almost shamefully easy to grow. It roots wherever its stems touch moist soil. It handles full sun and partial shade, thrives in heat, and produces continuously. Harvest the young leaves and stem tips. Slightly succulent, mild, and easy to incorporate into any cooked dish. In permaculture and food forest communities, this plant is quietly becoming legendary. It grows as a living ground cover under taller crops, keeping soil cool and moist while feeding you from the same space. It thrives in zones 9 through 11 and performs best in heat with partial shade. Longevity spinach has been studied for its anti-inflammatory, anti-hyperglycemic, and lipid-lowering properties. Active compounds include saponins, flavonoids, and triterpenoids. It has been used traditionally in Malaysia, Thailand, and Indonesia to support blood pressure and cholesterol management. Its nutritional profile is solid: iron, vitamins A and C, but its medicinal reputation is what sets it apart. Number 2. Moringa, oleifera. Moringa is not just heat-tolerant, it's heat-dependent. Moringa is a fast-growing tree native to South Asia that has spread across the tropics for a reason. Almost every part of it is edible, and the nutritional density of its leaves is extraordinary by any objective measure. It grows explosively in heat, handles drought with remarkable composure, and if you coppice it hard, cut it back to knee height, it responds by growing back even faster and more densely, making it completely manageable for a home garden. The leaves can be harvested and used fresh, dried into powder for smoothies and supplements, or cooked into soups and curries. The immature seed pods, called drumsticks, are a beloved vegetable across South Asian cuisine. Yet the flowers are edible too. In zones 9 through 11, moringa returns from its root system after cutting. In cooler zones, grow it in a large container and bring it under shelter before first frost. Moringa's nutritional profile is genuinely staggering. Independent analyses have found its leaves contain more vitamin A than carrots, more calcium than milk, more iron than spinach, more potassium than bananas, and more vitamin C than oranges, all in a single plant. It is also a significant source of complete protein, containing all essential amino acids. It is not marketing. The research on moringa's nutritional density is extensive and consistent. Growing this plant is like having a supplement garden in your backyard. Number 3. Katuk, sweet leaf bush, Sauropus androgynous. Write this name down, Katuk, because this plant changes everything. It's once you know about it, you will not stop thinking about it. Native to Southeast Asia, Katuk thrives in zones 9 through 12, but can be grown in zones 7 to 8 with protection or containers. Most greens give up when the sun gets brutal. Katuk leans in. It pushes out fresh shoots week after week, month after month, regrows from the same root system year after year. And it does all of this in both blazing heat and partial shade, which almost nothing else on this list can claim. The leaves taste mildly sweet, almost like fresh peas. You can eat them raw in salads, stir-fry them, blend them into smoothies, or cook them into soups. The young shoots are tender enough to eat straight off the plant. A single mature Katuk bush will give you continuous harvest for years without replanting. Katuk is one of the most nutrient-dense leafy greens on earth. High protein, rare for leaves, calcium and iron. Vitamin A and C beta-carotene. In Southeast Asia, it is commonly used to support lactation in nursing mothers, and its protein content makes it one of the most nutritionally complete leaves you can grow at home. Number 4. Okinawa spinach, Genera crepioides, zones 9 to 11. Okinawa spinach is visually unlike almost any other edible green. The upper surface of each leaf is a rich forest green. Flip it over, and it's a vivid, saturated purple. A two-tone effect so striking that people routinely mistake it for an ornamental. When the leaves hit heat in a pan, that purple pigment leaches out and colors the entire dish, turning a simple stir-fry into something that looks intentional and sophisticated. It thrives in heat and humidity, producing continuously when harvested regularly. Young leaves work well raw, slightly earthy and bitter in a way that works beautifully against a sharp dressing. Mature leaves are best cooked, where the texture softens and the flavor deepens. The Okinawa spinach is rich in anthocyanins, the same class of antioxidant compounds found in blueberries and red cabbage, which have been studied extensively for their role in reducing oxidative stress, supporting brain health, and protecting cardiovascular tissue. Research has also explored this plant's effect on blood glucose regulation, with promising results suggesting the leaves contain compounds that support healthy insulin response. Vitamins A and C, calcium, and iron round out a profile that earns its association with one of the world's healthiest populations. Number 5. New Zealand spinach, Tetragonia tetragonioides, zones 8 to 11. Regular spinach has one fatal flaw as a summer crop. It exists on a countdown timer from the moment temperatures start climbing. You get a few good weeks, then it bolts, turns bitter, and it's over. Yet for 4 to 5 months of genuine summer, you simply have no spinach. New Zealand spinach removes that problem entirely. It produces rounded, slightly fleshy leaves that taste so close to spinach in cooking that most people cannot identify the difference. And while regular spinach collapses in summer heat, New Zealand spinach actively thrives in it, spreading across the ground and producing more leaves. In warm zones, it establishes itself as a reliable, self-seeding presence. Plant it once, and it reappears every year without intervention. One of the most useful and underused summer greens available. New Zealand spinach delivers vitamins A, C, and K alongside calcium, magnesium, and iron. Its key nutritional advantage over regular spinach is its lower oxalic acid content. Oxalates bind to minerals during digestion and reduce their absorption. So a lower oxalate green means the calcium and iron you're eating are actually getting used by your body rather than passing through. For anyone tracking bone health or iron levels, this distinction matters more than most people realize. Number 6. Chaya, tree spinach, Tinidoscolus aconitifolius, zones 9 to 12. This is a large, fast-growing shrub that produces enormous quantities of dark green leaves from a permanent woody framework that gets larger and more productive every year. A single mature chaya plant is genuinely impressive, reaching 2 to 3 meters, producing more harvestable leaf biomass per square meter than almost any other vegetable available to a home grower. Yet the one rule: Always cook the leaves for a minimum of 20 minutes before eating. Raw chaya contains compounds that break down completely with heat, but should not be consumed unprocessed. Cooked, the flavor is deep and rich, something between spinach and chard but more substantial. It belongs in soups, stews, tamales, rice dishes, anywhere you want a green with genuine presence. Cooked chaya leaves have a nutritional profile that makes you want to look twice. The protein content per serving is significantly higher than most leafy greens. Calcium content rivals dairy in comparative studies. Iron levels exceed those of spinach. Vitamin A content from beta-carotene is substantial. Potassium and vitamin C complete a profile that explains why this plant was not a supplementary crop for the Maya. It was a cornerstone of their diet. Growing chaya is genuinely one of the most nutritionally impactful decisions a tropical or subtropical gardener can make. Number 7. Water spinach, kangkong, Ipomoea aquatica. Zones 9 to 11. Water spinach, called kangkong across Southeast Asia, produces hollow-stemmed shoots with arrow-shaped leaves, and it grows at a pace that genuinely surprises first-time growers. In the right heat and moisture conditions, new shoots extend visibly between morning and afternoon. Harvest what you need today, and there is more ready tomorrow. The flavor is mild and clean, and that hollow stem stays slightly crunchy even after cooking. A textural quality that makes it genuinely distinctive from every other green on this list. Grow it in wet garden beds, in containers with standing water, or anywhere your garden holds moisture. In tropical and subtropical zones, it returns perennially from its root system. Contain it deliberately in non-tropical climates to prevent naturalization in waterways. Water spinach is rich in vitamins A, C, B6, and folate, with meaningful iron and manganese content. Its carotenoid profile, including beta-carotene and lutein, makes it particularly valuable for eye health and immune function. Traditional medicine systems across Southeast Asia have used it for centuries to support healthy blood sugar. And emerging pharmacological research is identifying compounds in the leaves that may explain that traditional application. A plant this easy to grow, with this nutritional depth, deserves far more attention outside its native range. Number 8. Sissoo spinach, Alternanthera sissoo, zones 9 to 12. There's a category of garden plant that experienced growers quietly collect and less experienced growers walk right past. Plants that don't have a dramatic appearance or a famous name, but that do exactly what a food garden needs done, consistently and without complaint. Sissoo spinach is one of those plants. It spreads low and wide across the ground, rooting as it goes, forming a dense living mat that does several things simultaneously. It produces edible leaves continuously. It suppresses weeds by outcompeting them for light and space. And it keeps the soil beneath it cool and moist in the hottest weather, benefiting every taller plant growing near it. In permaculture food gardens, this function is called a living mulch. And sissoo spinach does it better than almost anything else that's also edible. The leaves are thick and mild, with a faint earthiness. They work well in stir-fries, soups, and egg dishes. The texture holds up to heat better than more delicate greens. And in zones 9 through 12, it simply never leaves, growing year-round with no dormant period. Sissoo spinach provides vitamins A and C alongside calcium and iron. Its most distinctive nutritional feature is its beta-cyanin content, a family of pigments related to those in beetroot that have demonstrated antioxidant and anti-inflammatory activity in laboratory studies. These compounds are part of what gives the plant its slightly unusual visual quality, and part of what makes regular consumption genuinely worthwhile beyond basic nutrition. At number 9, sweet potato, leaves, Ipomoea batatas, zones 8 to 11. Here's one of the strangest blind spots in Western food culture, an extraordinarily nutritious vegetable that grows in millions of home gardens every year. that is eaten as a staple green across Africa, Asia, and the Pacific, and that most Western gardeners throw away because they're only watching the ground for tubers. Sweet potato leaves. The young shoots and leaves of the sweet potato vine have been eaten as a vegetable for as long as the plant has been cultivated, which is a very long time. In parts of West Africa, they are considered the primary crop, with the tubers almost secondary. In the Philippines and across the Pacific Islands, the leaves are a daily staple. They're tender, mild, and slightly sweet when young, working beautifully in stir-fries, soups, and sautéed simply with garlic. Meanwhile, in hot climate gardens, the vines themselves are doing extraordinary work, covering bare ground, suppressing weeds, keeping soil temperature down, and producing continuously from a root system that overwinters and regrows every spring in warm zones. Sweet potato leaves consistently surprise nutritionists when tested because the numbers are so strong. They are high in vitamins A, C, K, B2, and B6, plus meaningful iron, calcium, and zinc. Protein content per 100 grams exceeds the tubers significantly. Polyphenol concentration is high, contributing antioxidant activity. Studies have specifically explored their anti-inflammatory and anti-diabetic properties. Eating the leaves while you wait for the tubers is not settling for less. It is doubling the nutritional return from a plant you are already growing. Number 10. Cranberry hibiscus. Hibiscus acidocella, zones 8 to 11. Every productive food garden should include at least one plant that makes people stop walking and ask what it is. One plant so visually striking that visitors assume it must be ornamental. Cranberry hibiscus is that plant. Its deeply lobed leaves are a rich, saturated burgundy red, the color of aged wine, of dark plums, of something that looks designed rather than grown. In a garden bed or a container, it commands attention. In a food forest, it becomes an anchor plant that everything else is arranged around. The leaves have a tart, fruity edge, a kind of lemony sourness that works brilliantly in fresh salads. He adds complexity to cooked dishes and makes outstanding tea when steeped with ginger and honey. The flowers that appear later in the season are a deep coral pink, equally edible, and extraordinary as a garnish or dried for teas. It grows readily in heat and humidity, establishes quickly, and returns reliably as a perennial in warm zones. Cranberry hibiscus is rich in anthocyanins, the antioxidant pigments associated in research with cardiovascular protection, reduced inflammation, and improved blood lipid profiles. Related hibiscus species have been studied in clinical trials for their effects on blood pressure, with results compelling enough to interest mainstream medicine. The plant also provides vitamin C and iron, making its ornamental appeal and its health contribution genuinely inseparable. Number 11. Perennial Arugula, Diplotaxis tenuifolia, zones 6 to 10. Annual arugula is a plant with a sabotage mechanism built in. The moment summer arrives, the exact moment you most want fresh salad greens, it bolts. The leaves turn sharp and harsh. The plant throws all its energy into flowering and seeding, and your harvest window closes until autumn. Perennial arugula, wall rocket, simply doesn't do that. It's a different species, native to the rocky Mediterranean hillsides of southern Europe, with a harder, more weather-worn character than its annual cousin. The leaves are narrower and more deeply cut, with a peppery, slightly mineral flavor that is more complex and more interesting than regular arugula. And the critical difference, it does not bolt in summer heat. It just keeps growing, keeps producing. It keeps giving you that sharp, distinctive flavor through the months when every other salad green has given up. It self-seeds freely, gradually filling available space. It returns from its root system every year. In the right position, a sunny, well-drained spot where it can naturalize, it becomes a permanent feature of your garden that requires essentially no management. Perennial arugula belongs to the brassica family, which means its peppery bite comes from glucosinolates, sulfur-containing compounds that convert into active forms during digestion. Perennial arugula provides vitamins K, A and C, plus folate and calcium. The sharper the flavor, the higher the glucosinolate content, meaning the leaves you'd most want to eat raw are also doing the most nutritional work. Number 12, Malabar spinach, Basella alba, zones 7 to 11. Picture the hottest week of your summer, the week where you walk outside and the air itself feels hostile. Now picture a plant on your fence, covered in thick, glossy leaves, actively putting on new growth in that same heat, just waiting for you to come and harvest it. That's Malabar spinach. That's what your summer garden should look like. This is a climbing vine from tropical Asia that has been feeding people through brutal summers for centuries. It wants heat. It needs heat. In cooler conditions, it actually slows down, but give it full blazing sun, something to climb, and regular water, and it becomes one of the most generous plants you'll ever grow. The leaves are thick and substantial, with a satisfying weight to them that most greens don't have. If cooked into soups or stir-fries, they bring a silky, slightly rich texture. Raw, they're crisp with a clean, mild flavor. In the warmest zones, it returns as a true perennial from its root. In slightly cooler areas, it self-seeds so aggressively that the effect is identical. You plant it once, and it's back every year on its own terms. Malabar spinach delivers a remarkable package: vitamins A, C, and K in significant quantities, along with iron, calcium, and a type of soluble fiber that actively supports digestive health. Its deep green color signals high chlorophyll and beta-carotene content, both of which function as cellular protectants against oxidative stress. In hot climates where fresh greens are hardest to grow, this plant fills a nutritional gap that nothing else quite manages. Number 13, Egyptian walking onion, Allium cross proliferum, zones 3 to 9. Here's a vegetable that seems to have been designed by someone who wanted to make gardening feel like magic. The Egyptian walking onion produces its offspring not underground and not from seed, but at the very top of its stems, in clusters of tiny bulblets that sit exposed to the air. As those bulblets grow and multiply, they get heavier. The stem gradually bends under their weight. Eventually, the bulblets reach the soil, root themselves, and a new plant begins growing right there. The original plant has literally walked itself across your garden. Over several years, a single walking onion becomes a self-expanding colony that requires absolutely nothing from you. No replanting, no seed saving, no division. The plant handles its own propagation completely. You harvest the green tops through the season as you would spring onions. You collect the top-set bulblets to use as small pickling onions, or plant them deliberately in new locations. You dig the underground bulbs in autumn when you want a shallot-like flavor. It produces in 3 different ways, simultaneously from one planting. Quercetin, one of the most extensively researched flavonoids in nutritional science, is present in meaningful quantities in walking onions, as it is across the allium family. Quercetin has demonstrated anti-inflammatory, antihistamine, and antiviral properties in clinical research. Walking onions also provide vitamin C, B6, chromium, which supports insulin function and blood sugar stability, and prebiotic fibers that nourish the gut microbiome. And adding these to your daily cooking is one of the quietest and most consistent things you can do for long-term health. Number 14, garlic chives, Allium tuberosum, zones 3 to 9. Most people grow regular chives and consider the job done, which means most people are leaving a significantly better plant on the table. Garlic chives look similar. Flat, grass-like leaves rather than round, hollow ones. But the flavor is in a different league entirely. There's a warm, persistent garlic undertone in every leaf that transforms how you cook. Add them to scrambled eggs, and the dish becomes something else. Fold them into dumplings or noodles. the way they're used across East Asian cuisine, and you understand immediately why entire culinary traditions are built around this plant. From a summer growing standpoint, some garlic chives are remarkable because they genuinely don't care about heat. While regular chives can go soft and sulky in peak summer, garlic chives keep producing their flat, fragrant leaves right through the hottest months. They form slowly expanding clumps that you harvest from the outside, while the center keeps regenerating. Every few years you divide the clump, and your one original plant has become 10. They bloom in late summer with clusters of white flowers that are edible, beautiful, and attractive to every pollinator in your neighborhood. Garlic chives carry the full nutritional weight of the allium family: vitamin C, K and A, plus folate and calcium. But more significantly, they contain organosulfur compounds closely related to those in garlic, which decades of research have associated with cardiovascular protection, reduced blood pressure, and antimicrobial activity. Unlike raw garlic, garlic chives deliver these compounds in a form that's pleasant to eat in quantity, making it genuinely easy to incorporate their benefits into daily cooking. Number 15. Tree onion, Allium cross proliferum, zones 3 to 9. The last plant on this list is the one that, once established, will make you feel most like you've cracked something other gardeners haven't. The tree onion, related to the Egyptian walking onion but with a more substantial, multi-stemmed shrub-like character in its mature form, is among the most genuinely self-sufficient edible plants available to gardeners in any climate. It produces through heat, it survives deep cold, it asks for almost nothing, and it gives back across multiple harvest categories simultaneously throughout the year. The green stems are your spring onions, available through most seasons. The underground bulbs are your shallots, harvested when you want a rounded, mellow onion flavor. The top-set clusters, those distinctive bulblets that appear at the stem tips, are your pickling onions, or your next generation of plants if you choose to let them drop and root. Manage it how you want. Ignore it if you need to. Either way, it will be there next season, a little larger and a little more productive than the year before. The allium family has one of the strongest bodies of epidemiological research in nutritional science behind it. Populations with high habitual allium consumption show consistently lower rates of cardiovascular disease and gastric cancers across multiple large-scale studies conducted across different continents and cultures. The compounds responsible, quercetin, allicin precursors, organosulfides, are present in meaningful quantities in tree onions, alongside vitamin C and B6, chromium, and prebiotic fructooligosaccharides that actively support a healthy gut microbiome. Building a permanent, self-sustaining onion supply in your garden is not a small thing. It's one of the most quietly significant decisions you can make for your household's long-term health. 15 plants, 15 crops that come back every year without asking permission. 15 reasons this summer, and every summer after it, looks completely different. Here's the truth before I let you go. The gardeners who build real food security aren't the ones who work the hardest every spring. They're the ones who made smart decisions once, put the right plants in the ground, yet let time do the work, and never had to start over again. That's what you now have the power to do. Pick 3 plants from this list. Get them in the ground this season. Then watch what happens when the heat comes, and everything around them struggles. But your garden doesn't. That's not luck. That's a perennial. If this video changed how you see your garden, hit like, drop a comment with the plant that surprised you most, and subscribe, because this is exactly the kind of content we're built for. Now go plant something that'll still be feeding you in 10 years.